George Pickens' time with the Pittsburgh Steelers wasn't always pretty. While his talent on the field was amazing to watch, his attitude was often an issue. That's part of the reason why the Steelers traded him to the Dallas Cowboys this offseason. Unfortunately, Pickens tarnished his reputation in Pittsburgh one last time on his way out, backing out of a youth football camp he was scheduled to host. Former NFL wide receiver T.J. Houshmandzadeh explained what he believes Pickens thinks about this situation. "I don't know if you know George, I've been around him a little bit," Houshmandzadeh said recently on Nightcap. "He just don't give a damn." His representatives were like, "Hey, you need to do this." He probably was like, "No, I ain't doing it. I don't care. I ain't doing it. I don't care what you say. I'm not doing this." I think it's unfortunate because he's probably going to take a hit in his reputation. I don't think he gives a damn. But those kids, that's the part of it. They're just going to be disappointed. While Houshmandzadeh hasn't played in the NFL in a long time, he's been training receivers coming out for the draft. Therefore, he's got a relationship with young players, and he's clearly familiar with Pickens. It's unfortunate that he thinks Pickens doesn't care about any negative backlash he receives as a result of skipping out on his football camp. It's true that Pickens didn't demand a trade out of Pittsburgh. However, after that trade, Pickens was reportedly still committed to hosting his football camp in Pittsburgh. If he had canceled it right after that deal went through, that would be easier to understand. It's the first time he's switched teams in the NFL, and Dallas and Pittsburgh aren't exactly close. However, Pickens waited until almost the last minute to drop out, likely disappointing a lot of kids. Thankfully, Pat Freiermuth stepped up and will host the camp in Pickens' place. Still, it's not a good look for Pickens, whose behavior has been heavily criticized throughout his young NFL career. However, if Houshmandzadeh is correct, then Pickens probably doesn't care about that, which wouldn't help his case. Last season, Pickens was involved in several on-field issues. From fighting to dumb penalties, Pickens' immaturity was too often on display. Joining the Cowboys gave him an opportunity for a fresh start, but this situation won't help him rewrite the narrative surrounding him. Like Houshmandzadeh says, Pickens might not care how he's perceived, but with free agency looming for him, he might want to change that. The Pittsburgh Steelers have said time and time again that they're not worried about Minkah Fitzpatrick and his lack of splash plays in the last few seasons, but their actions speak louder than their words this offseason. 1 week after saying on 93.7 The Fan that the Steelers were making defensive schematic adjustments that featured some quarters coverage and more blitzes during organized team activities and mandatory minicamp, DeFaber revealed in a piece for The Athletic Thursday morning that the changes defensively are mirroring Fitzpatrick's assignments at Alabama, where he was once the best safety in the country. However, with schematic changes to the defense that mirror Fitzpatrick's college assignments at Alabama, a better third safety, Juan Thornhill, who will put Fitzpatrick in different places, a new secondary coach, and corners more capable of playing man coverage, which often leads to tips and overthrows, it wouldn't be surprising to see the splash return, DeFaber writes, according to The Athletic. Making some schematic changes to better align with Fitzpatrick certainly seems like the Steelers are worried about his play and ability to get back to an all-pro level. Last season, the Steelers spent a great deal of time in single-high safety looks, leaving Fitzpatrick as the single-high safety while Deshaun Elliott to slid down into the box. Elliott was a force for the Steelers, but Fitzpatrick's impact was greatly limited. Quarterbacks didn't really throw his way to test him in coverage, and while he largely kept a lid on things in the passing game and was a good tackler coming downhill to support, he wasn't able to make those splash plays like he has in the past, which made him a multi-time All-Pro with the Steelers. Getting away from the single-high look and utilizing more quarters coverage, keeping the safeties closer to the line of scrimmage while still being able to support the run, could help Fitzpatrick get back to his playmaking ways. At Alabama under Hall of Fame head coach Nick Saban, Fitzpatrick was often in the star role for the Crimson Tide, who utilized a lot of cover 7 and played match quarters, which blends man and zone coverage principles. While at Alabama, Fitzpatrick dominated, winning a number of individual awards like the Jim Thorpe Award as the nation's best defensive back and the Chuck Bednarik Award as the Defensive Player of the Year. He was a unanimous All-American in 2017 and was first-team SEC in 2016 and 2017. In his first few years in Pittsburgh, Fitzpatrick was a ball-hawking safety, recording 17 interceptions through the 2022 season, earning 3 All-Pro nods. But in the last 2 seasons, he has just 1 interception and 1 forced fumble. The Steelers tried playing him closer to the line of scrimmage in the box and in the slot in 2023, but he struggled with injuries and was ineffective. Last year, in single high, he was too far away from the play to have an impact consistently. Now, the Steelers are mixing it up. Those changes might not be drastic in the sense that they are permanent, though. We'll see how much the coverages are shown during training camp at St. Vincent College in Latrobe and during the preseason against the Jacksonville Jaguars, Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and Carolina Panthers. Heading into the 2025 season, the biggest storyline for the Washington Commanders is something ongoing off the field. Weeks removed from deciding not to partake in mandatory minicamp, Terry McLaurin continues to hold out in hopes of landing a new contract. McLaurin has no intentions of playing on an expiring contract and wants the Commanders to ink him to a deal that keeps him in Washington for the foreseeable future. This comes on the heels of him putting together another strong campaign for the franchise. Across 17 games last season, McLaurin totaled 1,096 yards and caught a career-high 13 touchdowns. Still a few weeks from the start of training camp, Christopher Knox of Bleacher Report put together a list of the biggest potential names on the trade block in the NFL. With his ongoing standoff with the Commanders, McLaurin is a player who made an appearance. When it came to potential suitors if McLaurin did become available, the Pittsburgh Steelers were among the teams mentioned. Should the Commanders start openly listening to offers, the 2-time Pro Bowler will fly up our trade board, Knox wrote. Until then, he should still have the attention of receiver-needy teams such as the New England Patriots and the Steelers. The Steelers made a big splash this offseason by signing 4-time MVP Aaron Rodgers. Ahead of his alleged retirement tour, Pittsburgh could attempt to try and help him go out on top. As a receiver who is known for being a deep ball threat, McLaurin would thrive playing alongside a QB like Rodgers, especially considering that defenses would also have to worry about DK Metcalf on the other side of the field. As of now, there have been no signs that McLaurin's holdout is going to end with the Commanders trading him. From the start of this ordeal, the franchise has been confident they'll be able to work things out before the regular season gets underway. This is a proper stance to have, seeing that this isn't the first time McLaurin has been absent for contract reasons. After making a flurry of offensive upgrades this offseason, the Commanders are poised to contend with Jaden Daniels leading the charge. Because of this factor, it seems unlikely that the front office will let such a key piece of the organization walk. That said, until things are officially taken care of, there is always the small possibility Washington is forced to part with McLaurin.